If you've just awoken or are falling asleep when something suddenly happens to you, that could be considered a religious miracle. Then it's entirely possible, but then again not guaranteed, but still entirely possible, that you have actually encountered what we call the phase, the activation of centers of consciousness during rapid eye movement sleep. That is, if a religious miracle is preceded by falling asleep or awakening, further interpretation depends solely on the individual. Anything can happen. Any one of you might see God, an angel, and so on. And that needs to be clearly understood. I'd like to once again emphasize that we're not talking about religion. Religion, that's another story. We're talking about interpreting cases when something out of the ordinary happens during certain moments, when falling asleep, awakening, or lying in bed. There was another experiment we conducted. We had 19 people artificially, without threat to life or limb, reproduce the typical account of near-death experiences when a person is flying in a tunnel towards the light. We had 19 people, even 20, artificially reproduce that experience without threat to life or limb. Again, we're not talking about whether there's life after death, but about how such sensations are reproducible, and that again, they don't prove anything. What else belongs here? Incubi and demons. Incubi, succubi, and demons, that is, paranormal situations of some sort. Think about stories of how demons suffocate people. When do they suffocate people? When people have just awoken. It happens especially often with women. She's just awoken and it sits on her neck and suffocates her, smothers her, and so on. Some paranormal phenomena are the same thing. There are quite a lot of them, succubi and incubi, and so we're putting them all under paranormal phenomena. Nearly 90% of them start with falling asleep or awakening. Poltergeist 2? If you've just awoken and something suddenly starts moving around the room, the first thing you should take note of is not the fact that something's moving around the room, but the fact that you've just woken up. And it's fully possible that it only seemed to you that you'd woken up, which we'll discuss in just a bit. What else belongs here? Which phenomena? Déjà vu. Déjà vu? No, doesn't quite belong here. What? False awakening. Let's recall a situation. It's a school day. Your parents wake you up. Get up, get ready, it's time for school. You get up and get ready. You're wearing your backpack and are going out. You're shaken again and told, "What are you lying in bed for? Get up, get your things together." You get up and get your things together again. Raise your hands if something like that has ever happened to you. It seemed as if you had woken up. Now raise your hands if you remember or had become aware of false awakenings. In fact, you can get up at night, do something, go back to bed, and not know for the rest of your life that in fact you hadn't woken up or done that. You might simply wake up, turn to your side, and go back to sleep, not even knowing that in fact you hadn't turned over physically. Up to a third of your actions and sensations after waking up are not real. So we're also writing 90% for false awakenings, but in fact everyone encounters them repeatedly, just about every time, nearly every night. What else goes here? Communication with the deceased. Well, it depends on what situation. If it happened upon awakening, for example, or when falling asleep, or when you were lying down and you suddenly saw the deceased, then that's the phase. But we won't be concentrating on that. Raise your hand if you've ever been lying down, or just woken up, or been falling asleep, and suddenly realized that you can't move. Raise your hand if you've encountered so-called sleep paralysis. Thank you. Why does paralysis fall under the phase? First, a substantial number of out-of-body experiences, astral travels, alien abductions, and so on, start from paralysis. Many even believe that to achieve an exit from the body, you need to achieve paralysis first. You can look at it in two ways. But why is sleep paralysis a sign of the phase? Because sleep paralysis is always there during REM sleep. One of the signs of REM sleep is sleep paralysis. Every day we're in it about 90 minutes, every night. But we don't remember it. Why not? Because we're asleep at that moment. And if we suddenly feel sleep paralysis, that means we're conscious, and we realize we're paralyzed. Paralysis itself speaks to the fact that we are in REM sleep. That means we have the main signs of the phase. That is, it is easy to turn sleep paralysis into out-of-body travel, lucid dreaming, and so on. There's another interesting case. Raise your hand if you've encountered the following situation. You're also lying down, maybe you've woken up or are falling asleep, Maybe you look around your room and suddenly realize that your eyes are closed. Raise your hand if that's happened to you. That is, you suddenly realize you're seeing with closed eyes. Aha, about 6 or 7 people raised their hand. In fact, many more people have encountered this, since you can lie down, look around your room, and then get up, start walking, or fall asleep, still not realizing that in fact, your eyes had been closed. That is, realistic enough sight arose, and that's a typical sign of a 100% phase. Let's sum up the background info on where you've come and what you'll be doing. Call it whatever you want, the phenomenon that we'll be covering. We call it the School of Out-of-Body Travel. We achieve the sensations of leaving the body. If out-of-body travel is what you need, you've come to the right place. That's what we'll be covering and practicing together. If lucid dreaming is what you need, that most pro-science term which was scientifically established in the 60s and 70s in repeated experiments in England, in America at Stanford University, in Munich at the Max Planck Institute, and so on. If lucid dreaming is what you need, then in principle, the phase also denotes lucid dreaming. If astral travel is what you need, astral projection, then you've come to the right place. That's what we will be covering. Meanwhile, I will be using the words phase and phase state to unify the entire cluster of phenomena. Meanwhile, what we went through is only the tip of the iceberg. In fact, there are many more phenomena. The most important thing I wanted to say to you right now is that we're not discussing some very narrow phenomenon. It is encountered in one way or another by billions of people. For example, out-of-body travel, about 30% of the population, 2.5 billion people, have experienced leaving the body at least once. 2.5 billion people, not some elite gurus, but billions of people. Lucid dreaming, 70%. Around 5 billion people with no practice whatsoever or knowledge encounter it spontaneously. That is to say, what we're discussing is a mass phenomenon that billions of people encounter. What we'll be talking about is only how to control it. Why am I telling you all this? So you realize that the skill we want to master here now is not supernatural. It's in each one of us. There's nothing fantastical about it. Sure, this practice may, in various esoteric, mystical, and occult movements, be called different names, and be considered an extrasensory ability, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, it is often the highest level you can reach. But I think that this thing is within everyone's reach. There's nothing unusual about it. And as soon as you realize that, it will work much better for you. You'll be ready for it. Because when you come and expect that you'll be learning something supernatural, something only the elite can reach, then you won't be confident in your actions, which will have an effect on your results. We constantly see manifestations of the phase around us. It has indirectly had an enormous effect on all of humanity. Religion also affects politics and the fabric of our worldview. The phase is also indirectly present right now. It's this kind of behind-the-scenes player in our history and culture that for some reason it's improper to discuss. And if you take it up, you'll be considered crazy, strange, weird, a fool, and so on and so forth. However, the phenomenon is quite widespread. And so if I say the phase, but you need is lucid dreaming, that's what we're talking about. If I say the phase, but what you need is out-of-body travel, that's what we're talking about. If what you need is astral projection, but I say the phase, we're talking about astral projection from your point of view. You might not agree with me with that point of view. Once upon a time, about 10 to 15 years ago, I would have gotten into a fight with anyone who told me that the phase unites all those phenomena. Because I thought that I was having lucid dreams and out-of-body travels where I really left my body, as well as astral travel. I would have gotten into a fight with anyone who told me it was all one and the same. But when you have the experience hundreds of times, thousands of times, when it goes on for years, when you see how thousands of people tell you about it, you see some patterns. You frequently realize that there might be different names for the same phenomenon. And to finish that thought, I would like to say that lucid dreaming practitioners, out-of-body travel practitioners, and astral projection practitioners use the same techniques. But for some reason, some say they become conscious while dreaming, others say that they leave their bodies, while still others say that they enter the astral plane. They use the same techniques and experience the same sensations. Therefore, it's quite controversial to what extent these are different phenomena. What will we be covering here? We have 3 lessons. It's 48 hours, that is 2 nights. So that over these 2 nights, over these 3 lessons, you'll be able to do it. Not sometime in the future, not 10 years of training, but in the next few hours. Many of you will experience the phase in a few hours. And our goal is to make it so that you can learn as fast as possible how to do it. To learn what it's needed for, what you can do with it, and how to control it. And my most important task, especially for the lessons tomorrow and the day after, is to teach you to think. Think from the point of view of analyzing your attempts. The thing is, I had made a big mistake earlier. I only gave people knowledge, but I did not teach them to think. And in the end, they were unable to analyze their own attempts, and that really stunted their development. Therefore, the main emphasis tomorrow and the day after will be on you learning to analyze your attempts yourself, see others' mistakes and your own, and that will help you a lot in your practice. So, we're talking about how to master the phase, how to enter it as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, the way people think is such that to simply tell you there exists a phenomenon like the phase is not enough. Before going on to the techniques and the simplest way to do it, we should speak at least a little about what it's necessary for, and what on earth to do with it. Looking ahead, I would like to say that we'll be touching upon some of the most important points tomorrow and the day after. For now, we'll go through what it's necessary for. That is, its application, obtaining information. What's the easiest way to do it? Well, let's say I've appeared in the phase and left my body. What is the simplest thing I can do to obtain information? Read something. And what else? How do we still do it in real life? Talk. Ask someone. Speak with someone. Attention. Obtaining information is what we'll be discussing in depth tomorrow. For about an hour, we'll be going over the phenomenon of obtaining information from the phase, where it comes from, why it's possible, what's behind how it even happens, how it works, how to do it, what pitfalls to look out for, and so on. Obtaining information will be tomorrow's in-depth topic. But those who will enter the phase today, that is at night, in the morning, or in the evening, you should know that you can use this state to obtain information. Here's the simplest way. Let's say that you, after leaving your body, can simply, at the first object you see, just ask the necessary questions. What else is this needed for? Any ideas? Travel. Travel to where? Wherever you want. But whenever you tell a person wherever you want, they won't be going anywhere. You have to have the intention of going somewhere. Well, yeah, wherever you want. What might that be? Outer space, another country, to another country. From different countries to far shores and seas, and even the bottom of the sea, to any mountains, especially those places you've wanted to visit, but it hasn't worked out, or somewhere you want to return. The most interesting and unusual experience is to appear in outer space while in the phase. This is not a computer screen image with galaxies, stars, and nebula. When you see it with your own eyes, the sensations are completely different. Time travel also belongs here. But the question most of you have is, do I actually turn up there? That is, say I can turn up anywhere in Paris, but am I actually present in Paris or not? Look, we're talking about your sensations. In terms of your sensations and perception, you are turning up in Paris in a realistic way. But to what extent you are actually there, that's another matter. How is this usually verified? By finding something out and then verifying in real life whether I was actually there or not. Now then, as soon as that question arises, that's already obtaining information to find out something I don't know. So in our case, to separate and turn up somewhere, say another country, another city, or another planet, and to find out something from there, those are different things. The most important thing I will be fighting against all 3 days is that you have a certain notion regarding where you've come from and what this is for. That's over here. That is, you think it can be used for this or that, it should be like this or should be like that. There's such a thing as the real practice. It's over here. Your expectations are often over there, but the real practice is over here. And I will have to always pull you over so you realize that whatever you might expect after having read a lot or thinking too much, there exists the real practice. Where do those expectations come from? From our beliefs about the world, living in the physical world. And you are trying to bring the rules of the physical world into a completely different space. And that's why for you, turning up in some place and finding something out, in real life, they are indeed tied together, but in the phase they're completely different things. When it comes to translocation, you might turn up wherever, but obtaining information from that place and its congruence with reality, that's a completely different matter. Therefore, clearly understand that when I speak of travel, I'm speaking of journeys of sensation. A word or two about your sensations. If you think that this is something like a dream, some dim imaginings or visualization, then you're quite mistaken. Raise your hand if you've been in the phase at least once and experienced hyperrealism, when sensations are more vivid than they are physically right now. Thank you. About 60% of us raised our hands. They're the ones who had a phase experience where sensations were more vivid than they are here. Until you've experienced it, you can't even comprehend what we're talking about. Because how can I see even better? How can I feel everything even better? It's just like that. And this is one of those shocking things about the phase. You return to reality from the phase, and in comparison with the phase, reality's like a dream in terms of vividness and sensation. And then one day I thought, where does that put the real world? Why are sensations more vivid there than here? They're not always so hyperrealistic in the phase, but they can reach that extreme. Even when you're succeeding, tomorrow and the day after, I will ask everyone about hyperrealism. Some will say 70%, 80%, or 90%, others 100, 110, or 120. That is to say, the sensations are very realistic, and that's what often frightens people. That is, you suddenly start to perceive the world around you so vividly that it's quite frightening. Meanwhile, you're not out in some haze. As a rule, you have your own hands. You can scrutinize the lines on your hands and scrutinize your pores. Everything is absolutely clear and realistic. You can walk and feel. You can touch everything. You can eat something. You can drink water. And experience any sensations. The sensation of pleasure, pain, and so on, they're all possible. They're all subject to hyperrealism, that is, control of the vividness of sensation. Based on that, you should realize that even if you suddenly turn up in spirit in some city, but not physically, even if it's not real as regards your sensations, there will be no difference. Sensations might even be more vivid. What else can we do with it? What is this practice necessary for? Communication with the dead. Communicating with the dead. Let's expand it to a wider topic. Simply communication and encounters. Let's say it's someone close to you who lives somewhere, but you don't see them. It might be a person who you are simply unable to see. It might be a person who is no longer here. It might be a famous person, a historical figure, whoever you want, really. Here, the question again arises, but am I really seeing them? Will they know about this? What is this anyway? Me, a pragmatist and a materialist, am saying you can meet the dead. And the room thinks, how is this possible? Technically speaking, the fact that you can do that is nothing unusual. I'll tell you more. A portion of those who come to our lessons, maybe 5 to 10%, usually come with the goal of seeing a dead person. That said, I'm not saying you're meeting a person's soul, because to talk about that, we'd first need to talk about whether souls even exist. That is, it's not all so simple. In fact, we're talking about how, in terms of your sensations, you can see anyone, including the dead, like we see one another right now. You can speak, touch, hear their voice, look them in the eye, and even smell them, and it's all absolutely realistic, even hyper-realistic. It might be someone no longer with us, it might be a person you know, it makes no difference. So in fact, it does turn out that what you call it isn't important. There are techniques that let you do it. And guess what you call it depends on your worldview. Let's say all of you met with some dead relative. Some will say it was the real soul of the person that I met. Others will say that it was some astral double. Still others will say that the brain reproduced it all. So it depends on your worldview. That's what I will be fighting against the next 3 days. The fact is that even here and now, as it were, in objective physical reality, we are all in our own world. If I ask you all what reality is, whether or not the soul exists, for example, it turns out that two people sitting and looking at one another live in parallel dimensions. One, for example, believes in the theory of evolution, that humans are animals, and so on. Another looks at him and sees a soul, religion, and so on. And if I ask you all what the world is, it turns out that you're living in different worlds, absolutely everyone. We experience the same sensations, but call everything by different names. We explain it in different ways. In the phase, it's the same. You all might experience the same sensations, but call them whatever you like. Some will say, I leave my body with my soul the whole time. Some will say it's some parallel world. Some will say it's inside the brain. So what you call it isn't important. Encounters are the same. You might see any person in a realistic way, but what was the nature of the event? That I can't even tell you because I can only tell you how I see the world, and you might have your own view. But what's the difference? We can only come together on how to do it, but what you call it after that is up to you. Let's move on. What else? How can it be applied? Healing. Healing, self-healing. That topic will be discussed separately in detail. What, how, and why. All possible methods. For those who will turn up in the phase today, what is the simplest way to have an influence? To swallow a pill. The simplest one, which we do in real life, is to find a pill. But meanwhile, what is most important? To believe, to heal, to feel it. To believe and to feel the effect right away. Be as audacious as possible. You have to believe. In the phase, you can immediately feel it. And that's the key point. To feel it. Especially if you finish a phase with that sensation you obtained. The probability of its persistence is very high. But we'll be talking about that in detail on Sunday. Self-healing is something we'll discuss in much detail. It's one of the most interesting topics. Moreover, it's one of the most important as regards further development of the phenomenon. Moving on, what else can we do with this? Entertainment. When I began doing this from the age of 16 to 18, I didn't have a computer. And I really saw it as an alternative to computer games and entertainment. Only in this case, you are not looking at a monitor. You are there in a real way. You travel in a real way. You feel sensations in a real way. And it may well be seen by young people as an alternative to computer entertainment. What else falls under entertainment? Flying and morphing into other beings. Right, flying and morphing. If somebody's on a diet and isn't allowed to eat something, in the phase they can. Some dream of taking a Ferrari for a spin. In the phase, you can do that. Some might want to feel what being a panther is like. In the phase, you can morph into a panther with your sensations. However, it's not that you'll be running around on all fours and think, I'm a panther, I'm a panther. You will really feel your claws and tail. You will control them as if a region appeared in your brain that was responsible for your tail. You will feel it in a real way, ears and fur. You will feel different anatomy and control. That is, you are really morphing in terms of sensation. People often come to this practice with overarching goals, saving humanity, some invention, or helping the whole world learn the true nature of the universe. And suddenly, having turned up in the phase, they realize they can do anything. Anything at all. That's when more primitive things become much more important than saving humanity, and so on. In this case, I of course mean sexual experiences. Especially when there's a real-life sexual experience deficit, or when there are forbidden desires. In such a case, the phase is where it can all be had. Meanwhile, please understand these are not just sensations of some sort. It's the full range of all sensations up through orgasm, which may be controlled and may be experienced as a completely separate sensation, and so on and so forth. You should understand that this is also an application of the phase. It's normal to encounter it. You might even have a problem. Every time you enter the phase, instead of doing something useful, you suddenly get dirty thoughts that interfere with your development. In that case, here's some advice. As soon as you run into it, think to yourself, right now, I'm going to do what's most important, and then I'll go back to my adventures. That might save you from not making effective use of the phase. This application really helps in case of fear. When entering the phase, many of you will periodically encounter fear and terror. You might suddenly experience mortal fear or a nightmare. And I've discovered that the best way to stop being afraid in the phase is to remember the sexual application of the phase. That is, all the fear suddenly goes away, and you can easily switch to something more interesting. If you become frightened in the phase and want to cut it short, then recall something very pleasant and you will forget about the fear right then. Creative development. Once in the phase, I suddenly heard the best Rammstein song ever. I was in the phase, I clearly realized I was not in the real world. It sounded so good that no acoustics in real life would allow you to hear such pure, perfect, and high-quality sound. It sounded absolutely perfect. I enjoyed it. It was the most amazing Rammstein song. But what did I realize at the same time? That it didn't exist in reality. You're right. It didn't exist in reality. I was in the phase and I was hearing the best Rammstein song ever. I listened to it and meanwhile was clearly aware that it did not exist in real life. And once I left the phase, I became very upset for having never taken up music. That is, I couldn't write down or reproduce the melody. I then returned to the phase to hear it again. I now know many people who are fond of music and use the phase to that end. This was the first time in my personal practice when I realized the phase can be put to use. You can see, for example, an artist can travel and see landscapes and then reproduce them here. They can see their yet-to-be-painted picture. A sculptor can look at his own future sculpture. An architect can wander around the building she's designing, and so on. This is something usually arrived at by musicians and poets. There's an explosion of creativity and ideas in and of itself. The practice is fruitful for creative people. Look, application is quite a wide-ranging topic. We will be speaking about only what's most important: obtaining information, travel, encounters, self-healing, entertainment, and creativity. Meanwhile, for many of you, it's self-development. For some, it's just entertainment. For others, it's a way to achieve a specific goal. But there is a group of people for whom the phase is the only opportunity to experience simple things we take for granted. In this case, I'm talking about people living with physical limitations, the disabled, and so on. We have an entire database of messages from paralyzed practitioners who are unable to walk or had gone blind. They describe what happens to them when they enter the phase. For people who cannot walk in real life, the phase is the only place that allows them to not only walk, but also fly and experience sensations they are completely deprived of in real life. Meanwhile, what has surprised me most over recent years was how we ourselves are unable to understand how important it is. I always thought that for them, what's most important is that they can experience capabilities that they are deprived of here. That turned out to be a mistake. That's not what's most important. You can find a recorded interview where we spoke with one lady who had gone blind. And when I asked her what most surprised and delighted her, and what shocked her the most, she didn't talk about how she could see again, but of how she had freedom. In real life, she lives in Moscow, where she can't go anywhere. She always needs someone to be there, just to go somewhere or do something. She's always dependent on someone. She's completely dependent. What the phase brings her is not so much sight as the feeling of freedom, that she can get up and go wherever she wants and do everything she wants. That feeling of freedom is much more important than lost sensation. A word regarding those who have gone blind and those who were born blind. 100% of those who have gone blind can see in the phase. As regards to those who were born blind, that's a separate discussion. There are theories, hypotheses, and even preliminary work that such people can see in the phase. However, I can't make a statement on the subject since it hasn't been proven. There's this issue here. Take the color red, for example. You will never explain to a person who has never been able to see what the color red is or what blue is. They don't even know the concept of color. From this list, now choose one task that's most important to you: obtaining information, visiting somewhere, seeing someone, having an effect on your body, or entertainment of some sort. Choose for yourself what you need most. Note it in your mind right now. Not just that you'll be traveling, but where exactly you'll be flying. Not just that you'll be obtaining information, but what exact info you'll get. Choose what's most interesting to you, and that personal goal will be your third task on the plan of action. Everyone has the same first and second one. Number 1. As soon as you've left your body or become conscious while dreaming, you should find a mirror, look into it, and then tell me what you saw there. That goal is the same for everyone. The second goal is also a shared one. As soon as you've looked in the mirror, try to eat something in the phase. Go in the kitchen and you can. Many are slick and put a banana next to their bed so as not to have to go far. Food. For example, you've been asleep, dreaming, and you suddenly realize you're sleeping. What should you do immediately? Let her speak for herself? What needs to be done? Well, say it. What? Look in the mirror. And what's after the mirror? Eat something. We have not been discussing becoming conscious while dreaming, but if you've suddenly realized that you're dreaming, that is the phase, and our plan of action in it is the same so far. 1. Look in a mirror, and then tell what you saw there. 2. Eat something, and only the third is your personal goal. That is what you need the most. Clearly, if you don't need any of this as a matter of principle, then you can immediately start from a personal goal. However, at least during our lessons, I would ask that you follow our common plan of action. And so, we've talked briefly about what this is, a mass phenomenon that has played an enormous role in our history and culture. So far, we've briefly spoken about what you can do with it. We will go into more depth tomorrow and the day after on obtaining information and affecting physiology. We can now move on to how to do it. To do it literally today or tomorrow, how to experience it. In my view, this is the most interesting thing that can be experienced. The one thing the phase can compare to in terms of sensation and vividness. Who knows what? What is most comparable to the phase? Perhaps out of the practices out there. Not even from practices, but our lives. Nothing, maybe? There is one. Skydiving, maybe? No, it's much simpler. Euphoria? Keep it simple. What compares to the phase? Even simpler. Reality. Reality. The one thing able to compete with and compare to the phase is reality. There's a reason I said the practice of the phase allows you to live in two worlds, to the utmost. The one thing the phase compares to is reality. That's the one thing it can be compared to reality. We'll now start discussing how to enter that reality, how to do that, and how to control it. Here we run into yet another preconception. Let's put it right here. The preconception is that it's very difficult and very long. Sometimes you open a book where it says 10 years of side practices, preparation, all kinds of energies, then maybe you may proceed into this practice. Quite often, when an author, some person or teacher does not know how to do it, they simply say it's dangerous, don't go there, and so on. They usually say that when a person does not know how to explain it, how to do it. And in order to brush aside any questions, they tell you, it's bad, it's dangerous, don't go there. I always raise the following argument. I've been doing this since the age of 16, and I'll be 32 next week. I've practiced it for half my life, and I've experienced it 1,000 times. I stand before you. I'm in one piece. I'm still alive. It's the same when you're asked, but is it possible not to return from there? I always ask, whoever told you that they never returned from there? Where is this man who's telling everyone that he never returned from there? It might seem that you can't return from there. When you encounter sleep paralysis on the way out, it feels like you're dying. But it all might just seem that way, and nothing more. That is, the practice is safe and it can be learned quickly, in fact. But there are a lot of stereotypes that it's dangerous, long, and so on. That's all total nonsense. By 1 o'clock tomorrow, I won't be making predictions, but many of you, by 1 o'clock tomorrow, even if you have never experienced this in your life, will come across it tomorrow after one night. The point is that if you do everything right, it's nothing hard. I'm often accused of having an inborn ability, a predisposition. That's total nonsense. Once I tried to control it, I was at first successful once a month, once every 2 months, and then more and more frequently. I didn't develop some skill, I gained knowledge. If you gave the 16-year-old me the same knowledge I have now, everything would have worked for me with the same success rate as now. That is, it's not a matter of whether or not it can be done, but how correctly it's done. You are absolutely correct to note that it works much better for some than others. But I'm one of those for whom it works worse. I sometimes see people at our lessons who come without knowledge of experience, and then in a few days or weeks, they achieve in an absolutely real way practically the maximum level that can be achieved. It took me many years. A word about the effectiveness of techniques and how often this can be done. Not only can this be achieved in a single night, even if you've never done it, it can be done several times in a single night, on the very first night. There are many such cases. There was a case when a man came who had never known anything or ever tried, and the first night, out of 8 of his attempts, 6 were successful. That's an example of how effective it can be. Everything depends on what you do, how you do it, and when you do it. The main preconception is that it's difficult or impossible and so on. That's total nonsense. In fact, it's all within reach, easy, and it all depends on the quality of your actions. Before we talk about the simplest method, I'll let you know what we will be talking about and what we won't. What won't we be talking about? Number 1. Perhaps I'll disappoint some of you, but mushrooms, cacti, pills, and whatever other substances will be left out as a matter of principle. I believe that achieving these states deliberately and without the help of any substance is a way to develop yourself and new skills. No matter what people say about substance use, I am categorically opposed to any external influences on the body. You should do it on your own. That's when there's development. Even if some substances help you achieve it, it's not actually a full-fledged phase experience. The fact is, various substances, even if they lead to the phase, affect the mind. Sure, a person might have turned up in the phase in terms of indications and sensations, but the controllability of the phase might differ. A full-fledged phase may be experienced only on one's own, so the mind works clearly, control is smooth, and all necessary sensations are there. What else are we leaving out? Various devices. You can read a lot online about special masks, special sound files, and they'll even sell you all kinds of amulets. Believe me, if there was a device that made this easy, I would have started the seminar from simply handing out that device, and then we would have discussed its use. So far, it's easiest to do it completely on your own. Not a single gadget or special mask allows you to achieve the success rate we will be discussing here. What else won't we be discussing? Despite the fact that becoming conscious while dreaming is a form of the phase, and one of the most common ones, how to become conscious while dreaming isn't something we'll be discussing directly in class. There are 2 main reasons for that. First, despite the fact that we will not be discussing it, up to 1/3 of all the results of our lessons will still come from becoming conscious while dreaming. So, it's like a bonus. Every technique we discuss will have becoming conscious while dreaming as a bonus, so no need to discuss it separately. Second, we are unable to focus on being conscious while dreaming. The techniques themselves and mastering them require much more time than 2 nights, much more time. So you have the textbook if you need it. It's on the website. There's an ebook version that describes in more detail how to become conscious while dreaming and how to realize you're sleeping. But we won't be discussing that in class. Meanwhile, do keep in mind that if you suddenly realize you're sleeping while in a dream, you've already entered the phase. That's considered the phase. There are two basic methods we'll be discussing. The direct method, when you lie down in bed and immediately try to exit the body, and the indirect method, when you wake up and regardless of how much you slept, you try to exit the body. Those are the two basic methods we'll discuss. The direct one, when you lie down in bed or on the couch and try to leave your body, and the indirect one, when you've woken up after sleeping and try to do something. Today we'll be discussing the easiest method, the indirect method, performed when? Let her speak for herself. After sleeping, upon awakening. I'd like to tell you a secret right away as to why the indirect method is the easiest. First, it needs to be said that it's the indirect method that allows for the successful existence of our website, school, and books, because it's mainly thanks to it that most experience is obtained. It was mainly disregard for the indirect method that made our subject out of reach for so many years. Many believe that leaving the body is when you lie down, do something, and leave your body. But in fact, those techniques are quite difficult. We will be speaking of them separately, and they have some finer points. But it's much easier to experience the phase using the indirect method, actions upon awakening. Here's the secret. When you lie down for the direct method and try to leave your body, what physiological state are you in? Wakefulness. In the waking state, you're awake, lie down, and try to leave your body, but that's only possible when there's REM sleep. But when you wake up, in most cases, natural awakening ends during REM sleep or in a state close to that of REM sleep. What's going on? When you lie down, you need to change your physiological state. This is not some guided visualization. This is something serious, achieving REM sleep. Moreover, REM sleep is preceded by non-REM sleep, and that's where tons of difficulty arise. But upon awakening, you've woken up, attention, and you're already in the phase. My task with the indirect method is not to teach you to enter the phase, but to teach you to realize it. Because when you wake up, you're already in the phase. When you lie down and try to enter the phase, the door's closed. Not only is the door closed, you're also going up to the wall and banging your head against it. With the indirect method, you wake up and the door is already open. My task is to show you where that door is and where to go. Upon awakening, it's not necessary to create the phase. All of you already have it. Everything we say now about the indirect method is not about creating the phase, but its realization. Once you realize that, your actions will be extremely effective. Believe me, entering the phase upon awakening. You know, I used to be able to do it once every few weeks or few months. Now, my success rate upon awakening is nearly 100%, and unsuccessful attempts are only occasional, very close to 100%, over 90%, over 95%. Unsuccessful attempts upon awakening now surprise me just as much as successful entries into the phase used to. Though 3 years ago, my success rate was 70 to 75%, and I thought that was as high as it could go. It turned out that wasn't true. So, the essence of the indirect method is not to enter the phase upon awakening, but to use the phase upon awakening. Where do we start? There are a few preliminary points. The first is when to make attempts, the time to practice. Raise your hand if you have to wake up early tomorrow. 1 person, 2, 3, 4. All of you who are waking up early tomorrow, go to bed this evening thinking, I'm going to wake up at night or my last awakening and do techniques, which I'll be speaking more about. You can try in the middle of the night, you can try during a daytime nap, but the most effective way is to employ the deferred method. How does that work? For example, you go to bed at midnight. You lie down and set your alarm for 6 a.m., for example. Just set your alarm. Until 6 a.m., we just sleep. and don't do anything. Ideally. In fact, attempts can be made before 6 a.m. too. You wake up to your alarm at 6 a.m., walk around for 5 minutes, get something done, read your notes, go over your plan of action, and go back to sleep. You might stay awake from 5 minutes to an hour with the desire to try each subsequent awakening. You might sleep until 8 or 10 a.m., or until noon. The idea is to sleep for a certain period of time, stay awake for a few minutes, and then go back to bed thinking, I'll wake up right away and try. You fall asleep thinking that, wake up, try, and whether it worked or not, you fall back asleep thinking, I'll wake up and try again. You wake up, try again, and whether it worked or not, you think, I'll fall asleep now, wake up, and try again. That way, you sleep all morning and make the max number of attempts. If you don't fall asleep, then don't stay awake as long. If you sleep too deep, then stay awake for up to an hour, not just 5 minutes. If you don't fall asleep, then wake up, say, at 5 a.m., not 6. You can still get something done. You can get something done or just work on something. Meanwhile, 6 hours is our interval, 5 to 6 hours. The idea is to set it up so you don't get enough sleep by 2 to 3 hours. For example, you sleep a maximum of 8 hours, lie down at midnight. What do you set your alarm for? 5, 6. 5 to 6 hours. That is, not get enough sleep by 2 to 3 hours. If you usually wake up at 10, if you sleep 10 hours, what do you set the alarm for? For 7 or 8, 7 or 8. Michael, a question. Between 6 and 8 or 10, do we set the alarm again? We wake up with our alarm once. We wake up, go over our notes, what we have to do, and go back to sleep thinking, I'll wake up right away and try. We fall asleep and wake up on our own, using willpower alone. Meanwhile, we also note that when we wake up, we must in fact get out of bed. We wake up to our alarm, get up, walk around, and lie down. That means one needs to wake up, get up, walk around, and lie down. Many think, I'll wake up, turn off the alarm. I've woken up after all. And fall back asleep to make attempts. The too short awakening will cause subsequent sleep to be very deep, and the intention will not stick. Why is this necessary? What is the deferred method used for, and why is it so effective? There might be different kinds of awakenings, in the middle of the night or after a nap, but this is the most effective one. Why? We said that there is non-REM sleep and REM sleep. When you've nearly gotten enough sleep, you've gotten the non-REM sleep your body needs. You can also enter the phase through it. But that's much harder. That's a topic for another day. Having gotten enough non-REM sleep, you fall back asleep. Having awoken, your brain wakes up. You recall your task, reaffirm your intention, and go back to sleep at that moment when we're still in the right physiological state, in REM sleep. The result is more awakenings, and the awakenings are practically all in the REM sleep phase, and that's all easy to make use of. That's why it's mandatory for you tomorrow. The deferred method is mandatory. We will be going over it many times. You will remember it well. It's what allows you to make several attempts in one morning, and will allow many of you to enter the phase several times. If you succeed at entering the phase, think, great, now I'll fall asleep, wake up, and try again. Question, can you eat or drink between 6 and 6:05? Or doesn't it matter? Yes, for example, if you sleep poorly, I'd recommend eating simple carbohydrates, something sweet, so you're pulled harder into sleep. You can walk around for up to an hour if you know you can fall asleep again in an hour. You can wake up and do something for a whole hour, do something, eat breakfast, whatever you want. But no eating meat. What? Why not eat meat? I never said anything about that. Eat whatever you want. I believe everything depends on awakening and what you do upon awakening. But all of these preconceptions as to what you can and can't eat, which direction the bed should point, and so on, they all come from the fact that people make mistakes, but think that they're doing everything correctly. Someone says it's not working out because they ate meat. Meanwhile, they make a ton of mistakes, and instead of fixing them, they start to look for some outside reason. I had a funny case once. I had arrived in Almaty 7 or 8 years ago. The lessons hadn't started yet, but I was approached before the lessons and asked, "Michael, why isn't eating meat allowed?" "You can eat it." They asked again, "Why isn't eating meat allowed?" "Yes, you can eat meat." The lesson begins, and there was a woman there, a huge, sturdy one, and she gets up and says, "Michael, why didn't you allow us to eat meat a whole month before the lessons?" And I say, "Beg your pardon?" It turned out that the organizers who signed people up told everyone who signed up a month before, "Right, that's it, we're not eating meat, otherwise nothing will work out." And people didn't eat meat for a whole month. Obviously, some will not eat it and think it's beneficial, but there are people who eat it every day, and they felt very bad. But the complaints were directed at me, naturally. All because the organizers had somehow concluded meat was forbidden. In fact, that's a misconception. Perhaps it has some effect, but your success rate is 90% determined by what you do and when you do it, and how you do it. And so, the time you practice is important. You can try before your alarm, but shouldn't have the set goal of doing it. For example, if you wake up before your alarm and think, "Well, I've already woken up, why not try?" Try. But the task remains to try after the alarm when you fall back asleep. You can also try before the alarm, but there shouldn't be the goal of, "I'll lie down and try all night." That goal shouldn't be there. Your goal, what's most important, is to sleep well until the alarm. The better you sleep here, the better it will work out after the alarm. Don't forget our interval is 6 hours. It should be 5 to 6 hours, 2 to 3 hours before awakening. That is, to not get enough sleep. We set our alarm to not get enough sleep by about 2 to 3 hours. Our next task is to wake up and do something. Admit it, when you wake up often you don't remember who you are, or where you're sleeping. You wake up, your mind hasn't turned on yet, but you should wake up and immediately do some specific actions. The problem of conscious awakening comes up. How to wake up and immediately realize what you need to do. Conscious awakening. Everything's simple here. You just need to fall asleep with intention. That is, fall asleep with thoughts about the practice and attempts. So we fall asleep with the thought, "I'm going to wake up right away and try." We wake up, try, and whether or not it works, we resolve to ourselves once again, "I'll fall asleep now, wake up, and try." That is, the intention to fall asleep. It should also include not only, "I'll wake up and try," but ideally to wake up without moving. That is, to wake up ideally without moving. What do we mean by ideally? Not to move at all? It's not mandatory. The fact is, many wake up, turn to the side, let's say, and that's it. I've already made a physical movement. No point in trying anymore, nothing will work. If you tell me that tomorrow, I'll cuss you out. Do it the day after, and you'll wish you were never born. I'm kidding, of course. But the point is, it's a huge mistake that I'm always fighting. I fall asleep here with the thought that I wake up, ideally without moving, and go right into action. But if you wake up and make a movement by accident, if you're lying uncomfortably and turned somehow, it's not the end of the world. Sure, your success rate will go down a bit, but it will still be high. Moreover, it's highly probable you didn't really move. That is, it only seemed you made a movement. So wake up, and even if you make a physical movement, try anyway. Don't tell me, "I woke up, made a movement, ruined the attempt, and did nothing." The textbook ebook on our site has only one paragraph in all caps, in bold font, that's read too. It's the only paragraph so clearly emphasized in the whole textbook. It says if you wake up and make a movement, you should still try because people stubbornly think it's just a psychological factor, that you wake up, make a movement, and it seems it's all over, you ruined everything. That's not true. We still up and try. Moving on. Attempt time. Awakening. We have here a couple of points seemingly not directly related to actions that are decisive. Your actions upon awakening must be confident. There must be confidence. That is, you don't wake up thinking, "It won't work for me, of course, but I'll try." When you do that, hardly anything will work for you. You should wake up thinking, I'm going to up and do it now. Just woke up, I'm going to up and do it right now. Why is that important? Confidence would seem to be of secondary importance. How can it affect success rates? As you wake up already in the phase, you remember those stories about alien abductions, some kinds of religious miracles, about demons, about paranormal phenomena upon awakening? You remember where they come from. From the fact that you enter the phase by accident, but to the extent you don't control it, it reproduces your expectations. Remember, I said I woke up and recalled that aliens abduct people. And aliens abducted me right then. If I had thought about an angel at that moment, one would have appeared in just the same way. That is, if you don't control the phase, it will reproduce your expectations. If you've awoken with the thought, of course it won't work for me, you won't get anything, even being in the phase. It will reproduce and simulate an unsuccessful phase. How does that happen? At seminars, we constantly run into it. Someone wakes up and starts to do something. For example, someone wakes up on their back, starts doing techniques, separation, and phase entry techniques. And nothing works. He thinks, nothing's working, I'll go back to sleep. And at that moment, he starts to feel that he's actually lying on his side. He's woke up to the sensation of lying on his back. That is, he was already separated and needed to get up and go because he was already in the phase. But nothing worked for him because he lacked certainty. Even if you're in the phase, you won't do anything with it. The phase also reproduced an alien abduction story my first time. In just the same way, it will reproduce an unsuccessful phase entry attempt. It reproduces it in a real way, absolutely authentically and realistically. We have people constantly wake up, try something, nothing works, and okay, fine, nothing worked, so I'll go drink something. He gets up, accidentally walks through a door, or his hand goes through his glass, or he notices something else. That is, he woke up, tried, and then got up to drink something. But he got up and easily separated in the phase. And then he said nothing worked for him. Well, yeah, sure thing. Right, or he got up, drank something, came here, said nothing worked for him, and only then began to realize that he had slept at night but gone for water in the afternoon. Only here was he able to realize what had in fact happened. That happens quite often, at least a few times each lesson. And only when coming here for the second or third lesson do you suddenly realize what exactly happened. The sensations are simply so realistic that you don't always realize it, so it's mandatory to have confidence that I'll wake up and do it now. I'm going to just up and do it. That's a crucial factor. What's next? There should be a certain intensity, even a kind of aggression. You must force your way in there no matter what and get your outcome. You wake up, and as if your life depended on it, it's phase or bust. You try, no matter what, to turn up in the phase right now. Attention, this is a very important factor. To wake up and enter the phase right now, no matter what, as if you'd die if you didn't enter the phase. Meanwhile, there's something interesting here. The thing is that many misunderstand confidence, intensity, aggression, and no matter what. Many of you understood it as follows. This liquid is you, your sensations, perception, and consciousness. It is now in a physical glass. Your end goal is to turn up in the phase, to pour yourself into the phase. Your task is to wake up and gradually pour your sensations, consciousness, and your perception into the other glass, into the phase reality. When I say it needs to be done intensely, aggressively, and no matter what, people think it means you wake up and seethe with anger. Leave the body right now, no matter what. You lie in bed all angry and try to leave your body. I must leave my body no matter what right now. That's misunderstanding it. The aggression and no matter what are aimed at the techniques, at your actions. We will now discuss those techniques. You do them and pour yourself into them. Put your all into them and try no matter what to feel the effect of the technique. You don't lie angrily and try to do something, but you put in your all, pour yourself into it no matter what to feel those sensations. You don't lie angrily, aggressively trying to do something physically, but you concentrate on techniques so hard that you try to pour yourself into them. So I'll write in one more concept here. Put in your all. Putting your all into techniques. Pouring yourself into techniques. Any activities must be accompanied by no matter what, aggression and confidence. And not simply a physical attempt to do whatever. We have another name for it: maximum concentration. That's what no matter what means. The techniques and methods we will now talk about will allow you to pour yourself into there. That is, you put your all into the techniques. Get lost in thought or sidetracked and you're back in your body. That is, your task is to pour yourself fully into the phase and turn up in it. If it's not a fully deepened phase, we carry over 100% of our sensations and carry out our plan of action. We've separated. Where do we go and what do we do? To the mirror. And after that, eat. And then our personal goal, right? Meanwhile, our personal goal shouldn't be like, and now some personal goal, but a specific task. Right now we'll be talking about a personal goal, but in a real attempt you should clearly determine for yourself what the personal goal is. For a start, I recommend using some emotionally charged goals. That is, not saving humanity, but something emotionally charged and simple that you find truly interesting. We will now move on to the procedure upon awakening. What exactly are we supposed to do upon awakening? Tell me, what is the probability of the phase? What will it look like? When I wake up, does it go up? How should I draw the graph of phase probability? All indicators are it goes down. That is, it goes down. Based on this graph, based on the fact that I'm waking up, my chances are at their highest because I've awoken in the phase. What do you think? What should our first step be? When we've woken up? Yes, I've woken up, and what should I do? Use techniques. Techniques. Great, that's one idea. What do you think? Ask yourself a question? No. What actions? I've woken up. Let everyone speak for themselves. What do you think? Me? Yes. Recall your goal? We've already recalled it. We've woken up. What action should we do? We don't move. What should we do? Appear at the mirror. Aha. Appear immediately at the mirror. That is, we immediately accomplish our goal. Absolutely right. Your first goal as soon as you wake up are not techniques, not even separation, like before, but your goal is to appear at the mirror. You wake up and you immediately try to appear at the mirror. Why? Because you wake up in the phase. Who needs separation techniques? Who needs phase creation techniques? You've woken up in the phase. And so first the mirror. How is that done? Focus your attention on the mirror. You might be at home, at a friend's house, or at a hotel, and there'll be a mirror in, say, the bathroom or the hallway or in your room. Imagine it. You wake up and try to feel yourself standing at the mirror. Meanwhile, not passively, but try to touch it. Try to touch yourself. Try to feel the mirror. Examine it. I've woken up. I'm trying. First, I imagine this glass is at the mirror. I try to feel myself in the glass. I try to scrutinize the mirror. I try to touch it. I try to move around it. I try to palpate it. I try to feel myself at the mirror. Suddenly, after a few seconds, you realize you're standing at the mirror. You don't even feel your body in your bed. One reason people are afraid of the phase and are afraid to appear in it is that you suddenly stop feeling the physical world, the physical body, and you get scared right then that somebody will occupy your body, kidnap you, or something will happen. We don't feel the real body in the phase. We only remember it's there. Once again, once you wake up, you don't need to roll out, immediately start the techniques. The techniques are later. Since you wake up in the phase, we immediately try to accomplish our goal. Our first goal here at the seminar is the mirror. Later in your practice, you'll have any other goal you want. Say your goal is to appear somewhere. You can immediately appear somewhere or find someone. In this case, to make it easier to discuss and try, we have the same goal, the mirror. We wake up and immediately try to feel and scrutinize the mirror. We try to feel it, and we try to appear at it no matter what. No matter what. That's concentration on actions and sensations in an attempt to imagine ourselves at the mirror. It lasts about 5 seconds, for 3 to 5 seconds. You try to appear at the mirror. If we've appeared at the mirror, what do we do next? Food. Yes, the next goal is to eat something, and then your personal goal. That is, we've already turned up in the phase and nothing else needs to be done. We've already realized the phase. Attention. But if it didn't work, You tried to appear at the mirror for 5 seconds, 7 to 10 max. You tried to appear at the mirror, but nothing works and you feel yourself lying in bed. What to do then? Use techniques. You need to fall asleep and try to wake up again. But we still have an entire minute. If you're lazy, you can do just that. But in principle, you still have an entire minute. Techniques. Any ideas, techniques, anything else? Separation? Yes, separation techniques. Then we'll move on to separation techniques. Please note, meanwhile, that we use several separation techniques at once. Levitation, rolling out, and standing up. And crawling out? Crawling out too, but there are 3 main ones. In fact, there are many more of them. If immediately appearing at my goal didn't work, if I wasn't able to see myself in the mirror immediately, after that, I try to levitate right there, as if physically levitating. No need to imagine that something levitates out of you. You literally try to levitate. Didn't work? Try to stand up without moving a muscle. Like normal, but without moving a muscle. Not working? Try to roll out to the side. From your bed as usual, but without moving a muscle. No need to dream up that some astral body is rolling out of you, or something is rolling out of you. Separation, in fact, is not a very accurate term. In most cases, you don't feel separation. You feel regular movement. There's no sensation that you are separating. It happens in 1 case out of 10, but in other cases, you just stand up, you just levitate. Meanwhile, please note we'll discuss separation techniques more separately. The main thing to understand is that it is carried out with an attempt to make a movement with your own body without moving a muscle. That is, not imagining something left or flew out of you. You try to make a movement yourself at the right time without moving a muscle. Meanwhile, tomorrow I'll ask how it's working for you all. You won't be able to tell me without using the words easily, simply, as usual, naturally, normally, and so on. You can think whatever you want now about how to do it and how to separate, but in practice you'll simply stand up, you'll simply levitate, but we'll talk about that later. Now tell me, I tried to appear at the mirror, didn't work. Now I try for 3 to 5 seconds to separate, also didn't work. What next? Fall asleep. But you still have an entire minute. Visualization. We move on to techniques. Only then do we move on to the techniques themselves. There are a lot of techniques. The textbook describes many. I'll explain several that are the easiest to explain and the most effective during the lesson. There will be 4 such techniques, starting from the basic ones. The rotation technique, for 3 to 5 seconds, you try to vestibularly sense rotation. Let's say you've woken up, going to the mirror didn't work, separating didn't work, we don't open our eyes. Meanwhile, I rotate left, I try to twist to the left or to the right. For 3 to 5 seconds, I try rotating left or right. The idea is to create the vestibular sensation of rotation. If rotation starts working, what does that mean? I feel I'm rotating. What does that mean as a matter of principle? That I'm already in the phase, yes. As soon as you start moving, you're already in the phase. What needs to be done next? Stand up. Yes, just stand up. Using the body that is rotating, we up and stand up. We don't rotate and physically try to stand up, but use the body that suddenly started to rotate to just up and stand up. No need to think about how or with what to stand up. Using that sensation that arose, just stand up, and then do our plan of action. Mirror, food, and personal goal. So no need to keep rotating? You can rotate if, say, standing up didn't work. Then rotate even more intensely. But if your leg had moved slightly and it doesn't work after that, you can rotate even harder and then try to stand up. What if it turns out you started doing it on a physical level and missed the phase? Sometimes slight physical twitches or movements are possible. Many resist this, but I have recently been inclined to believe that slight physical movements during attempts are permissible. They can happen and not always ruin everything. This is easy to notice if, can you move your eyes? Your eyes, you may. While the main thing is not to open them, moving them is even necessary, especially during rotation. So I noticed this one thing. People sometimes twitch when they dream. They have slight movements. Don't they sleep through it? Slight physical twitching in techniques may arise at first, but they won't necessarily ruin everything. Yes, ideally avoid it, but in principle it's not that big a problem. Now then, rotation. As soon as you feel movement, separate. The next technique is visualization of the hands, also for 3 to 5 seconds. What is the point of this technique? After everything else, if nothing worked, you start to imagine your hands are in front of you. You look at them, rub them, and even try to hear them. You're lying down with eyes closed. Doesn't matter what position you wake up in. Note that we fall asleep however we fall asleep. No need to lie down in a special position. However you wake up is how you wake up. We haven't spoken of body position since it doesn't matter. However we wake up is how we do it. So I've woken up on my side. I start to imagine my hands are in front of me. I try to scrutinize them, to feel them and hear them. That is, I focus all my attention on the fact that my hands are in front of me. I try to see them, feel them, and scrutinize them. If after a few seconds my hands appear, I see them or hear them, what does that mean? You're in the phase. You're in the phase, right. That's a sign that everything worked. If you're in the phase, what do you need to do? To go to the mirror. What? To the mirror. That is to stand up right with those hands. We saw them and we don't put them back. We don't try to stand up physically. Our hands have already separated. Use those same hands to stand up, go, start moving, so it's clear what to go by. We go to the mirror, eat something, or do our personal goal. The next technique is swimming. The swimming technique. In this case, you start imagining you're swimming. Imagine a tropical island. You're swimming around the island, or you're swimming in a pool, or in a lake, or in a river. Start imagining, no matter what, intensely and aggressively, that you're swimming in any style, somewhere. Do you need to imagine the place? Ideally, yes. In principle, you don't have to imagine it, but it will improve your success rate. You start imagining you're swimming somewhere, breaststroke, freestyle, it doesn't matter. Try to imagine the movement of your arms, body, legs, head, the water, and the sun. Try to feel everything around you. Swim for a few seconds in the place you want and try to feel the sensations that arise. If you suddenly realize you're swimming in a lake, might I suddenly turn up in the lake? Yes, you've turned up right in the lake. What do we do? Let's see how you all get out of this one. Some dive and look for a mirror at the bottom, some swim to the shore and look for a mirror there. Some look at their reflection in a pool, their mirror. In any case, one needs to look for a reflection. You see how our fundamental plan of action quite clearly shows how to get out of this one. Were you expecting a fixed template? No template here. Everyone thinks, I'll get up now and go to the mirror. But here, you've turned up in a lake. Though you do have a goal, the main thing is to achieve that goal. And we'll see what actions you do to reach it. Say you swam to the shore, found a mirror, and ate something. The point is, with the swimming technique, you can immediately turn up somewhere, or you can lie in bed but feel your hands are moving as if you were swimming. That means you simply need to get up and go using those hands. Either you in the lake or movements in bed. There is one more technique that has been pretty successful over the last several years. It appears in the textbook as sensory motor visualization. We'll call it something simpler, the technique of deepening. This can be longer, for 5 to 10 seconds. Whoever is familiar with the practice of the phase will remember that deepening is a stabilization of the state, and would be right. What's the line of reasoning here? If we wake up already in the phase, then basically at that moment, the phase is simply so weak that it's not obvious. Why not proceed immediately to deepening the phase? How are phase deepening techniques performed? Let's recall primitive techniques. I'm already walking around a room. What should I do? Peering and palpation. Palpation and peering. In this case, what do you do? Say nothing else worked, though you act as if you were in the phase, but the phase is so shallow that you don't feel anything. You start to touch, examine, and feel everything. That is purely in the imagination. You walk around the room in your imagination. You may even go to the mirror, go and touch and examine everything along the way. Try to touch everything around, every object, and try to scrutinize them in your imagination. You start to imagine you've actually already separated. You try to experience as many of those sensations as possible. After some time, you suddenly realize that you're not really lying and you're not really walking. Or it's like you're lying, but meanwhile you're not imagining you're walking, but you feel you are. What gradually happens? You're lying in bed, woke up, and begin to imagine you're walking around your room, touching everything. You scrutinize and palpate, and at some moment you realize you aren't just imagining it, but are actually touching it and actually scrutinizing it, like we palpate objects right now. In this case, deepening can also be seen as phase entry. You are in essence simulating deepening of the phase, which requires scrutinizing and palpating everything. We will be trying all this out, but to complete the procedure and theory behind it, I'd like to add the following. Say you've gone through an entire cycle and nothing worked. What to do next? Try again. Try once again. Meanwhile, out of these 4 techniques, you may choose all 4, but at least 2, 3, 4, at least 2 techniques. Let's say you've chosen rotation and deepening. The mirror didn't work, separation didn't work, I do rotation, it didn't work, deepening, didn't work, cycle 1. I do rotation again, I do deepening again, cycle 2. I do rotation again, I do deepening again, cycle 3. You must get to cycle 4. Meanwhile, the curve will stop dropping. Is separation a second time mandatory? As soon as the techniques start to work, you can try. In principle, you can try between techniques. There are many options here, but that's not what we're talking about. The point is that when you start doing something, the curve stops dropping. At some moment you do cycles, and on the 3rd cycle, for example, rotation starts working, and you turn up in the phase. That is, if the technique doesn't work right away, that doesn't mean it won't work a bit later. You have a minute. Now tell me, you tried for a minute, you did cycles for a minute, and nothing worked. What then? We fall asleep. How do we fall asleep? With intention. With the intention of waking up and doing what? And trying again, and trying again. At the very end, when nothing works, or even if it worked, we fall back asleep thinking, I'll wake up and try again. And so, your task is to crank out as many awakenings as possible with these actions. We've talked a lot, but in fact it can be said in a few seconds. Your task is to wake up and immediately appear at the mirror. If it doesn't work, try to levitate, stand up, or roll out. If it didn't work for a minute, cycle 2 or 3 techniques until one of them works. If a technique works, we separate again, and then the mirror, food, and personal goal again. Everything is quite simple. A few words on the preliminary points. One more time, when to do it. If you get up early, go to bed today thinking that you'll wake up at night. Your desire to wake up at night will be enough for you to wake up at night. The human brain does not sleep more than 90 to 92 minutes. You always wake up every hour and a half. You simply might not remember. But you always wake up. That's the physiology of the brain. When you have intention, you will catch awakenings. You can try it after a daytime nap. But what's most important for you is to create the intention to try after your alarm. At 6 a.m., you wake up, create your intention, and lie down with the thought of catching an awakening. If you wake up before the alarm, you can also make an attempt. What's most important is to fall asleep thinking, I'll wake up and try, without moving, ideally. Sometimes I wake up for real and have the feeling nothing will work. You get that feeling. I know it comes, but you still have to do it no matter what it seems. What do I do in such a situation? It happens to everyone, including me. You wake up, feel you've fully awoken, and that nothing will work. I think to myself, I will simply get some practice. I'll start to practice and everything will work out. It's a psychological factor that we'll speak about. Question: how do you tell it's the phase and make sure you're not playing make-believe with it all? Look, when we first start to enter the phase, it starts to border on imagination. Sometimes you might not understand at first whether you're imagining or touching an object, for instance. But in the end, the phase should be like reality. You aren't imagining me now, you see me? In the phase, you also see objects and don't imagine them. It's quite simple. As soon as you start to see what you shouldn't, but you see it for real, you're in the phase. That is, you realize you're not walking in the physical world or in the physical body, but see everything. That's the phase. We'll discuss these points in detail tomorrow, especially after your attempts. We lie down and close our eyes. We'll have a few practical lessons. We'll work separately on all parts of the procedure, all the techniques, and separation. Then we will simulate waking up so you understand what needs to be done. At the very end, in the form of a game, we'll practice and immediately see who understood and who didn't. Our aim now isn't to enter the phase. Our aim is to work on those elements that make up a phase entrance. The first task is to work on the techniques you'll be performing. We'll begin from the techniques themselves and preliminary actions, the very first ones. Our first one was the mirror. Now, on the count of 3, recall the mirror, nearest where you sleep, and immediately try to appear at it. Your task is to work on the skill of trying to appear at the mirror. 1, 2, 3. We try no matter what to feel ourselves at the mirror, standing in front of it, looking at it, touching it and its frame, if it has one, the wall nearby, the floor, and ourselves. We scrutinize from all sides and try no matter what to appear at that mirror. We relax and do nothing. 1, 2, 3, and again the mirror. We try no matter what to appear in front of it, as if you were actually standing in front of it, but did not feel your body for some reason. We try to touch and scrutinize it. Right now you are standing at that mirror and trying to appear at it. We touch and scrutinize. We relax and do nothing. 1, 2, 3, the mirror. We pour ourselves into ourself standing before the mirror. Concentrate on the sensation that you are standing at it. Try to feel yourself at the mirror. We try no matter what to feel ourselves in front of the mirror right now. Relax. Do nothing. Take your mind off it. 1, 2, 3, the mirror. Right now, no matter what, try to appear at the mirror and feel yourself in front of it. We relax and do nothing. The next elements are separation, standing up, levitating, and rolling out. Try to levitate in the most literal way possible. Levitate right now. Don't imagine that you've levitated, but try to levitate. Don't imagine that you've levitated, but try to physically levitate. Pull up to the ceiling right now. Try to levitate. Try to stand up without moving a muscle. Try to get up. Pull forward and try to stand up without moving a muscle. Don't picture you're standing up. Don't imagine you're standing up, but try to stand up without moving a muscle. Try to roll out to the left without moving a muscle. Try to roll out to the left physically. Pull physically to the left. Turn your eyes and try to roll out to the left. To the right. Literally without moving a muscle, with your physical body, try to roll to the right. Levitation once again. Literally try to levitate. To the ceiling with your physical body. Pull, pull. Try to levitate. Rise. Try to stand up. Without moving a muscle, try to literally stand up as usual. Pull forward and try to get up. Try to roll out to the left. Roll. Try to roll. Physically to the left, but without moving a muscle. Don't imagine you're rolling. Don't picture it, but try to roll to the left, to the right. Try to turn to the right, to roll. We relax and do nothing. Separation techniques are done in the first person. No need to imagine or picture it. Regular actions without moving a muscle. Levitation. We try to levitate no matter what. Standing up. Rolling out. We try to roll no matter what, to the left, to the right, without moving a muscle. Levitation once again. Standing up. Rolling out. We relax and do nothing. Special emphasis is on trying several separation techniques. When levitation doesn't work, standing up often does. And during the next attempt, if standing up doesn't work, levitation does. That's the main reason we cycle not only separation techniques, but also phase entry techniques. At least 2 techniques are cycled because one works today and tomorrow, another. You should always remember that. Levitation. We try to levitate no matter what, to levitate right now. We try to roll out to the left. We try to roll out to the right, without moving a muscle. We try to stand up to get up right now. To levitate. To stand up again. To roll out. Try again to fall out downwards. As if you were falling, try to fall out through the floor. Don't imagine it, don't picture it, but try to fall out through the floor downwards. You may also try to do a backward somersault, or a forwards one. You can also try to imagine yourself standing at your body or right at the mirror. Relax. Do nothing. So, we've separately gone over an attempt to appear at the mirror and train separation separately. With separation, it's important to just try. Many who approach separation during an attempt fear making a physical movement and do nothing at all. If you accidentally make a physical movement, the sky won't fall, it won't be the end of anything. You have to keep trying. If you make a physical movement, lie down and try again. Now we're going to train the techniques individually. The first technique is rotation. Turn your eyes to the left. Turn them without opening them. You can move your eyes, but not open them. The eyes are not affected by sleep paralysis. Your body can be paralyzed, but eye movement never is. That's why when a person dreams and they look to the left, for example, the body lying in bed will also turn its eyes to the left. Turn your eyes to the left and try to rotate after your eyes to the left. Pull right after your eyes. Try to turn. Pull, pull. Try to turn to the left. Turn your eyes to the right, all the way to the right, and try to turn to the right after your eyes. Pull, pull. Try to turn to the right, no matter what, after your eyes. We turn our eyes to the left side and pull after our eyes to the left. Harder, harder, harder. We pull our eyes, we pull, we turn, we try no matter what to turn to do a complete rotation. If turning vestibularly is successful, accelerate it. If it does not work, try to do a full rotation. To the right, we turn our eyes to the right and pull after our eyes. We pull and try to turn around. Try to vestibularly turn around your head-to-toe axis. The rotation technique emphasizes the vestibular system. You need to provoke your vestibular system and create rotation in your body. To the left, we pull our eyes to the left and try to rotate. We try to do a complete rotation to the left. We turn our eyes to the right and try to rotate around our head-to-toe axis. Try to rotate on your own for a minute at the level of the vestibular system. If that doesn't work, then try to feel halfway or quarter of the way vestibular rotation. If it works, speed it up. Okay, minute starts. We turn our eyes to the left, and we try to turn after our eyes to the left. We pull to the right, and we try to turn all the way to the right. Try to do a vestibular turn. So, relax, do nothing. The next technique is hand visualization. On the count of 3, we start imagining that our hands are before our eyes, literally 4 inches from our eyes. We try to scrutinize them, to feel and hear the sound of our rubbing hands. 1, 2, 3, we rub our hands. We try to see them no matter what, as if our hands were really before our eyes, but you do not see them for some reason. We rub our hands even harder, even faster. We try to hear them. We try to see them no matter what. My hands are in front of me. Where are they? Why don't I see them? Even more intensely, even faster. We relax and do nothing. One, 2, we rub our hands. Act as if your hands were right in front of you, but you do not see them for some reason. They're physical ones after all. Where did they go? Where did my hands go? But they were right in front of me. Where are they? We try to see them no matter what, to feel them, and to hear the sound of rubbing. We rub them even harder and more intensely. No matter what, we try to feel our hands before our eyes. We rub them faster and harder. We scrutinize and peer into them. We relax and do nothing. 1, 2, we rub our hands. We put our all and pour ourselves into those actions. We concentrate to the max. We try no matter what to feel our hands which are rubbing in front of our eyes. We rub them and try to feel them, to see them, to hear them. We relax and do nothing. For a minute now, on your own, experiment with the technique. Rub your hands, try to scrutinize them, to see and hear them. The minute has begun. Rub your hands in front of yourself. Try to see them, to feel them, and hear them, as if your hands were really in front of you. Where are they? Why don't I feel them? We're done. In a real attempt, as soon as your hands have appeared, there's no need to lie and continue to rub and scrutinize them. You're already in the phase. Get up and go. It's the same with rotation. As soon as you feel that you're rotating, there's no need to lie, rotate, or spin endlessly. As soon as you're rotating, that's it. Stand up with the body that's rotating and go. After all, you're already in the phase. The next technique is swimming. On the count of 3, we imagine we're swimming somewhere in the water. It might be a lake, river, sea, or around an island. It doesn't matter, wherever you want. 1, 2, 3, start swimming. Move your hands, body, legs, and head. Try to feel the water, the splash of water. We move even faster. We focus our attention on movement. We try to feel we're swimming. Right now, as if you were swimming, but don't feel your body for some reason, but you're really swimming. Where is my body? Let's try to feel it, to return to it. We swim even faster, even more intensely, quickly, and attentively. We relax and do nothing. That is, act as if you were really swimming, and you try to return to yourself, swimming somewhere. You don't feel your body for some reason, and you try to feel yourself swimming. That is, you're not here right now, but swimming somewhere. 1, 2, 3, we try to return to the self that is swimming somewhere in the ocean, in the sea, in a pool. We swim even faster. We attentively try to feel ourselves swimming. Even more movement, more attentiveness. Move your hands, legs, and body. We try to spill over into the body that is swimming. And we accelerate. We swim even faster. We relax and do nothing. It's important to put your all into everything. Indeed, that is the key factor. If you do it just to tell people, look, I did this or that technique, it will rarely work for you. You need to put in your all into the actions being performed. Then, any technique will start working. 1, 2, 3, start swimming. We try no matter what to feel ourselves swimming. We swim even faster, even more intensely. You are now swimming for real, but where is your body? Why don't you feel it? We try to appear in it no matter what. We focus. All thoughts go away and you focus on those sensations. You try to feel yourself swimming. You're all in. You aren't thinking of anything. You're completely submerged in those sensations. You try to pour yourself into them, to put your all into them. You are now swimming. You should be there. We relax and do nothing. For a minute now on your own, experiment with the swimming technique. The key factors are dynamic movement and putting in your all. 1, 2, 3 minute starts. We relax, stop, and do nothing else. We have one last technique, deepening. Simulating deepening as if you've separated. What it boils down to is you have to imagine that it's as if you're walking around your room touching everything and scrutinizing. Recall where you'll be sleeping today. At home, at a hotel, at relatives, or at friends. Your task is to perform everything in that room at my command. Imagine you're lying in that room where you'll be sleeping today. Get up from bed, turn around, touch your pillow, and scrutinize it. We touch the blanket, bed, and wall nearby. We touch it, palpate it, and try to scrutinize the design of any wallpaper. A nightstand or table is nearby. We try to touch and scrutinize from a close distance. The floor. We kneel down and touch the floor with our hands. We peer into it. We try perhaps to scrutinize trash bins and the small details of the space. We go up to the window. We touch the windowsill, the glass. We scrutinize everything close up and peer into the fine details of the space. We try to scrutinize it all and feel it. We rotate around, walk up to the door, touch the door handle, and peer at and scrutinize all the small details. We go up to the closet, scrutinize the closet, and try to touch it, to palpate it. We go towards the mirror. We touch the walls, rub our hands, scrutinize our hands, and blow on them. We go up to the mirror, scrutinize the mirror, peer into it, and try to scrutinize objects around it. That's it. We don't do any more. It should be performed more or less in that way, just even more intensely and even faster. The more movements you include, the bigger the effect. That is, try to include as many sensations as possible. When you start to perform this technique, at some moment your imagination will be replaced with real sensation. That is, you imagine you're walking, and at some moment you realize you're not imagining, but really walking around your room already. And at that moment, there's no need to separate. You need to carry out your plan of action. In the swimming technique, you can turn up swimming somewhere, but you might just feel the movement of your hands lying in bed, and then you'll need to stand up. Now, it's the same, only on your own now, in the room where you sleep. 1, 2, 3. You've woken up and started touching everything around you, scrutinizing and palpating all the objects, all the details, everything around. As if you're really walking around but don't feel your body for some reason. Your task is, as it were, to return to that body that's walking around the room. As if paralyzed, you suddenly don't feel anything. Where are my sensations? You try to get them back. You hysterically feel around in your room. You try to scrutinize everything, to return your senses, to put your all into those actions. The key factor is intensity and putting your all into techniques. Once you get that, any technique works. Even more intensely, even faster. We relax and do nothing. Now, once again independently, 1, 2, 3, we walk around the room, touch everything, and scrutinize. Begin. Dynamically, intensely. Attention to details is important, to small details. Activate all your sensations, turn periodically, turn, touch yourself, scrutinize your hands. Touch everything even more intensely and quickly. Scrutinize. Try to put your all into those sensations. We try to turn up in that freaking room right now, no matter what. Try to feel every sensation as if you were really walking around that room. We relax and do nothing. Please note, during a real attempt at night or in the morning, as soon as you suddenly feel you're walking, that's it, you're already in the phase. You just need to carry out your plan of action. You can now change your body position if lying down is uncomfortable. Now we'll put everything together. Our goal now is to fully master the action procedure at the right moment. So it's as if you've come home today and now you go to bed at midnight, for example. You go to bed now. You think to yourself, yes, the alarm is set for 5 or 6 hours, whatever you need to not get enough sleep. And you think to yourself, until the alarm, I'll sleep well. But if I wake up before the alarm, I'll make an attempt. You fall asleep with that thought. You sleep, sleep, sleep. Meanwhile, keep in mind that if you suddenly realize during a dream that you're asleep, that's also the phase. Let's say you've fallen asleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. You suddenly wake up in the middle of the night and think, why not try? The mirror. We try to appear at the mirror right now. We try to feel it, scrutinize it. We touch it and ourselves at the mirror. We try no matter what to feel ourselves standing at the mirror. It doesn't seem to work. We try to levitate. We try to levitate right now using our physical body. We try to stand up without moving a muscle. We try to get up. We try to roll out to the left, to the right. It didn't work. Now the rotation technique, let's say. We start rotating. We try to turn after our eyes to the left, to the right. It didn't work. Hand visualization. We rub our hands. We try to feel them, see them, and hear them. We rub our hands even faster. It doesn't work. Again, rotation. We try to spin to the left. We turn our eyes to the right, and we try to spin. We turn our eyes to the left, and we try to spin. It doesn't work. Hand visualization again. We rub our hands, try to see them, to feel them. as though you've seen your hands and felt them, standing up again. We stand up without moving a muscle. Levitation. As if it had worked for you. You go to the mirror. Just imagine in your head where you will go, to the mirror, where you will try to eat something. Just imagine. Immediately imagine how you will then carry out your plan of action. Just play it out in your head. Meanwhile, if you separate and walk around and sensations are vague, remember about the deepening technique. Using it stabilizes sensations. Say foggy vision. We start scrutinizing small objects, the small details of objects, and vision becomes clear. Not enough tactile kinesthetic sensation. We start to touch everything and then it comes. And so it's as if it worked for you. You've woken up and you've been returned back. You think, great, now I'll fall asleep until the alarm goes off. But if I wake up, I'll try again. You fall asleep with that thought. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Meanwhile, we keep in mind that becoming conscious while dreaming is also the phase. You've suddenly woken up. Why not try now, the mirror? We try now to appear at the mirror. We touch it, we peer into it. Right now, at the freaking mirror, we try to appear as if we were standing at it. It's as if it didn't work. Separation. Standing up. We try to stand up without moving a muscle. We try to stand up right now without moving a muscle. We try to levitate. We try to roll out to the left, to the right. It doesn't seem to work. The swimming technique. We imagine we're swimming. We swim, we try to feel the movement of our hands, body, and legs. It doesn't work. The rotation technique. We turn our eyes to the left. We turn our eyes to the right. We try to rotate our bodies. It doesn't work. Again, the swimming technique. We imagine we're swimming. We swim even faster. It doesn't work. Again, the rotation technique. We turn our eyes to the left and pull after our eyes. We pull to the left. And it's as if you felt movement. Again, standing up, we try to stand up right now without moving a muscle. To levitate. To roll out. As if it had worked for you, we picture our plan of action. The mirror, what you will be eating, and what your personal goal is. In your mind's eye, picture what you'll do and where you'll go. As if it had worked for you, you think, great, now I'll fall asleep. And after the alarm, I'll try again. You fall asleep again with that thought. You sleep, you sleep. Suddenly the alarm clock goes off. You stand up, read your notes, drink something, and perhaps use the bathroom. You may stay awake up to an hour if you'll fall asleep afterwards. We go back to bed. If you sleep poorly, do it just 1 or 2 minutes, then go right back to bed. The sun rises early now, so make good use of sleep masks if you have thin blinds at home. If it's noisy, you can wear earplugs. Sleeping masks really help prolong sleep. Basically, you've gone back to bed thinking, right now I'm going to make some intense attempts. I'll sleep 2 or 3 hours. Each time I wake up, I'll try to enter the phase. You fall asleep with that thought. And so, we're sleeping as it were. We sleep, sleep, sleep. We dream. Suddenly, something odd happens in the dream and you think, I'm dreaming, it's a dream, it's the phase. We picture our plan of action. Let's say you've appeared outside and we carry out our plan of action there, the mirror and the food. You are returned back and you think, great, I've entered the phase by becoming conscious while dreaming. I'll wake up now and enter the phase again. You fall asleep again with that thought. Now pay attention. I will give 2 signals, wake up and it worked. When I say wake up, do everything on your own, the mirror, separation, and cycle your techniques. As soon as I say it worked, what you did right then worked, as it were. That means it's necessary to separate and carry out your plan of action. If separation is permitted in the technique, naturally. For example, in the swimming technique, you can do without separation. And so we're asleep. Wake up. It worked. That is, you've appeared right at your mirror. We run through our subsequent plan of action in our head. You've been in the phase for some time, as it were. You return back and you think how easy it was. Super, I'll do it again now. You fall asleep with that thought. We've fallen asleep, we're sleeping. It's been 8 or 9 hours. Sleep isn't something we feel like anymore, but you still fall asleep. We sleep, sleep, sleep. Wake up. Do everything on your own. It worked. We do separation if need be, and our plan of action. There should always be a clear plan of action. You've completed the plan of action and you've been returned back. It's already late, you don't really feel like sleeping, but you think, now I'm going to fall asleep again and try again. You don't want to sleep anymore, but you still lie down and try to fall asleep, so as to make your last attempt and be here by 1 o'clock for the seminar. You fall asleep with that thought. You don't feel like sleeping, but you fall asleep. You fall asleep without noticing. Wake up. It worked. We go over our plan of action, where you'll go, what you'll do. You are returned from the phase. You recall all your experiences that happened to you at night, all your attempts. You analyze them and are coming here for the lesson by 1 o'clock. We have one more short activity. Until you perfectly carry out your next assignment, I won't let you go home. It will now become clear who has mastered the material and who has not. I won't explain the rules of the game because you should already know them. We come home at night and go to bed. What do? We fall asleep. We fall asleep. And what's before that? The alarm clock. We set the alarm. Until the alarm goes off, we just sleep. We sleep, we sleep. May we wake up at night and make attempts? Yes, you may. Just don't put too much emphasis on it. Okay, we're sleeping. We wake up to the alarm clock. We immediately do our technique. And what do you think? Get up and walk around for 5 minutes. Right, get up and walk around. We get up to the alarm clock, remember what to do, and in 5 minutes or half an hour, Damir? We lie down. Yes, we lie down. And what do we think of? About the attempts that I will wake up and do again. Now is what's most important. Now the game begins. So I've fallen asleep with the desire to wake up and make attempts. I sleep, sleep, sleep. I wake up. I go right to the mirror. To the mirror. I immediately try to appear at the mirror no matter what. It didn't work. It didn't work. Standing up. Stand up. Try somehow to separate immediately, no matter what. It didn't work. A technique. Which one? Any. Swimming. Swimming, but more quickly. If you answer slowly, I won't count that. I try to picture I'm swimming. I try the breaststroke, freestyle, whatever works. I try to feel the sensation of swimming somewhere in a lake, in the sea. It doesn't work. I rub my hands. I try to feel my hands. I scrutinize them, try to see them, to feel them. It doesn't work. Go back to the first technique. We swim. We swim, right. We try to feel we're swimming. We try no matter what to feel we're swimming somewhere. It doesn't work. We roll out. Rotation is what we have in mind. We try to turn to the left, to the right. We try to turn after our eyes. I suddenly feel I'm rotating. At the mirror, what do? I feel I'm rotating. I get up and go to the mirror. I get up and go right to the mirror. Just get up. No need to think about how or with what to separate. If you feel you're rotating, you've already separated. Can you go right to the mirror? You can. You can separate right at the mirror and roll out at it. I've appeared at the mirror. What's next? Eat something. We've eaten something. Next, the goal. Our personal goal. For now, we say personal goal so as not to expose any, private goals. But in reality, it should be a specific goal. Great. You've carried out your plan, have been returned back. You're lying down, and what are you thinking about? That I'll fall asleep now, wake up, and try again. I'll wake up and do it again. And so the name of the game is to do the whole procedure perfectly without hints. Right, I'm sleeping. I wake up. The mirror. We try to appear at the mirror. We try to feel it, to scrutinize it. It doesn't work. We try to levitate. To levitate. Anything else? It doesn't work. Fall out, get up, separate somehow. Almost immediately, it didn't work. Go ahead, levitate. Done. What else? We roll out. What techniques have we discussed? Deepening. Let's imagine we're walking around the room, touching everything, scrutinizing, palpating. Be quite attentive to details. What's important is putting in your all. Not just to say you did it, but to literally feel it. Then it will work. Otherwise, it won't. Deepening didn't work. We rub our hands. We try to feel our hands, to see them, to scrutinize and feel them. I suddenly realize I'm not imagining it, but they're here. I already see them. What do we do next? You can get some sleep. We've seen our hands, so we just get up and go to the mirror. It's clear. Indeed, lots can be done, but if you saw your hands when you tried to visualize them, you're already in the phase. You've already separated. You need to carry out your plan of action. So we go to the mirror and perform the following items. After the mirror, what do we have? To eat something. And after that, picture our goal. Not picture our personal goal, but carry it out. Can I ask a question? When I go up to the mirror, do I see my reflection? Tomorrow, you tell me what you saw there. We don't have the specific goal of seeing something there. You will have to come and tell me about what you saw. So, some mistakes were made. Let's start over. It had worked for me. I'm now lying down and thinking, I'll wake up right away and try again. I fall asleep with that thought. So I sleep. I wake up. The mirror. I immediately try to appear at the mirror no matter what. It doesn't work. Perform techniques. What else can be done? In fact, if you wake up and don't clearly remember the procedure, do whatever works what you remember. You have 1 minute which needs to be used. Actually, I have a little advice. Many are perhaps irritated by the need for cycling and too lazy to do techniques. How do some solve the problem? They wake up and don't want to cycle through techniques so much that they perform such high-quality attempts to appear at the mirror or separate no matter what, that they don't have to do techniques to get results immediately. That is, you wake up and think, I have to enter right now so as not to torment myself with techniques. And they'll make high-quality attempts to appear at the mirror. That is, you wake up and think, drat, these techniques. What do I need them for? It's better if I appear at the mirror right away, and it works immediately. Indeed, it will work right away. Tomorrow you'll see how it will all work for you. And so, let's start from the beginning. You've woken up. Try to appear at the mirror. We immediately try to appear at the mirror. It didn't work. Levitate, roll out, and stand up. You wanted to roll out, stand up, and levitate. It didn't work. We do all the techniques or swim. Okay, we're swimming. We swim, we try to feel we're swimming. It doesn't work. We rub our hands. We rub our hands. I've noted that if you don't remember techniques, always rub your hands. We rub our hands, we try to feel them. Well, that's okay, it's at least something. No hands, nothing happens. Rotation, we try to spin to the left or to the right after our eyes. Help intensely with your eyes, turn them. It doesn't work. Deepening, we try to feel we're walking around the room, we touch everything, we scrutinize. At some moment I suddenly realize that I'm not picturing everything, but starting to see it. To the mirror. Yes, no need to separate. We go right to the mirror. What's after the mirror? The fridge. Food. Food and fridge. After that, what do we have? The personal goal. Some personal goal. You have to agree. There's nothing supernatural, no fantastic technologies in our possession. Everything is simple. Wake up in a few seconds, appear at the mirror. If that doesn't work, try to separate. If that doesn't work, cycle techniques until one of them works. If it works, separation, mirror, and all the other goals. Everything is quite primitive. Now, I would like to add several things to improve your success rate and results. 1. Realize that everything I told you now is not some fantasy of mine, like I had thought it up in some office and now run out and say that it will probably work. Our school has been a research project from the very beginning. I started holding seminars in 2007 in order to study the technology, but the results that are now achieved in literally 2 nights used to take 2 months. Just so it's clear, I simply watched what works. I left that in and perfected it while I took out what didn't work. Gradually, year by year, the techniques were perfected. Now when I tell you, do it like this, I'm not just saying it. It's not some idea of mine that that's how it should be done. If I say something here, that's the fruit of many years of studying the phenomenon. Not so much independently as, that's another story, as independent practice might not be able to be conveyed to others. Namely, work with other people, with thousands. If I say do it like this, that's not some idea or fantasy of mine. That means that I've seen it work like that thousands of times. You're simply repeating what I'm talking about. My words in this case are not the words of some guy. They're my experience teaching thousands of people. If I tell you something, just listen to it and carry it out literally. Try to understand it as well as you can, and then everything will work. That's a really important point because many think that I'm speaking in parables. Maybe it's like this, maybe like that. The details of the procedure, they may change, but the general principles should be the same. You must follow them. Now, a few points about possible psychological factors. You might wake up, let's say, and make a movement, or simply wake up, and have the feeling you've fully woken up. You're lying down and think, why try now if nothing will work for me? I'm already fully awake, I'm lying down, nothing will work for me. Tell me something like that tomorrow and I'll chew you out. Wake up and do it. The procedure doesn't include waking up and evaluating whether you're in the phase or not. Your task is to wake up and do it whether or not it seems to you that you're in the right state or not. You've been told, wake up and do it. Wake up and you do it. Even if you're woken up and made a movement, or even already stood up, you need to do it. Lie down and do it. That is, use each attempt to the fullest. In fact, about 1 attempt in 3 will be one where you wake up and it seems like, I've already woken up. I'm lying down in the real world. Nothing will work for me. Don't pay attention to that. Continue on. Next thing. Very often, people are unable to figure out if it worked or not. Let's say you have your expectations. I've already said that I'll have to constantly fight against your expectations. Well then, it very often seems to a person that it didn't work for them because there's no hyperrealism in the phase. Tomorrow we'll be speaking about how to achieve hyperrealism, but sensations cannot always be immediately intense. So, If you suddenly feel that you're somewhere, go, and if sensations are not 100% realistic, but they're there, that's already the phase. That is, so there isn't something like you've separated and think, everything is fuzzy and vague as if it were a dream, probably nothing will work, and return to the body. Then you come and say, nothing worked for me. If the sensations were not realistic, you simply didn't make them realistic. They might be instantly realistic, or they might not. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. Don't let your attempts be ruined by insufficient realism. Don't turn down such an experience. Continue on in such cases. Tomorrow we'll discuss how to create maximum realism. Another problem is that you might stand up and expect the closet to be in a certain place, along with the bed and the window. You get up and the closet isn't there. You think, it was probably some dream, some nonsense. Nothing worked. You lie back down, then come and say that nothing worked. You have an expectation that the room should be exactly the same. It won't necessarily. Then again, you might stand up, turn around, and there's no body on the bed. You lie back down, then come and say nothing worked because there was no body on the bed. That means I either physically stood up or it was another state, clearly not the phase. That's all your expectations. But then there's the real practice. Objects in the room might not coincide. Realism might not be complete at first. Don't turn down such experiences. Go with them. That's what I'm saying. If during an attempt, an experience begins but somewhat lacks realistic sensations, we'll speak about how to achieve stabilization. As we've already said, we start to scrutinize small details, touch everything, and sensations multiply. But most importantly, you'll come tomorrow and we'll start from an analysis of your attempts, what you did right or wrong, and it will become clear that very few did it like we are discussing now. The problem is that even if you do what we talked about today halfway, your success rate will already be high. Try to follow my every word as much as you can. All that's required of you is to go home and simply repeat the actions we talked about. We've practiced, and now your task is to go home and simply crank out attempts and tell us what came of it tomorrow. Go home, crank out awakenings, as many actions upon awakening as possible, and come tomorrow by 1 o'clock. The first session tomorrow will be about what you attempted that night. You need to simply talk about it, even if it didn't work out. When analyzed, unsuccessful attempts are good because we can trace back to where the mistake was. That's why you need to make as many attempts as possible to come and speak about them. That is, discard what you think you know and start from a clean slate. Yes, that's also an important point. At least for these 2 days, forget all your preconceptions, all your expectations and assumptions. Get all that out of your head. You just have to go home, crank out attempts, and nothing more is required of you. Then come here and talk about what you tried. I'm asked, Michael, why do you do what you do? The answer is very simple. I'm doing the most interesting thing I've ever seen or encountered. The instructions we just discussed will allow you to have the most amazing and incredible experience. It's most enigmatic and remains the least studied. In my opinion, sooner or later the phase will completely change humanity and our view of our own selves, of our capabilities. These simple instructions will allow you to experience that tonight. You simply need to go and crank out attempts. Thank you for coming, traveling here, and flying in. That's it, let's go. During the lessons yesterday, when we were practicing, did anyone have anything like the phase?